Welcome back to Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I'm Goo, joined as always by McKenna.
Hello.
And we're back on soccer, football. It actually feels like it's been a minute. Or I remember early on we had like a ton of like the same sports games in a row, and now it's baseball that's kind of doing that to us. But that's for another episode.
We're back to soccer.
And we are glad to be joined by our returning guest, John Cullen. John, welcome back to the show.
What's up? What's up, friends? Happy to be back. And do you think it's because or at least like in baseball's case, was it that they were all trying to get the game out sort of like before baseball season or like launching at the start of baseball season?
Yeah.
Like, is that why? Yeah, that's why it's kind of all in a row.
Yeah, we had that too in 97 on the same day. Both Quarterback Club and Madden released the same day.
Oh, wow.
And then
okay.
We kind of messed up.
Kanye West 50 Cent situation.
You had to pick one, yeah.
Yeah, let's see who can sell more copies, baby. We're going head to head.
And we messed up our chronology a little bit where we did one of the baseball games a little bit early because it was listed differently somewhere, but then when we looked into it, they actually both All-Star Baseball 99 and Ken Griffey Jr. both came out the same weekend in 1998. So I think there is something to that where it's like we want to be there for this season, and we also don't want to get beat out by the competition.
Right. Crazy. Okay, yeah. So I mean, soccer's weird because there's not like obviously EA ends up being like the monolith in this space and everybody else quits, like Quarterback Club and MVP Baseball and all that stuff and NHL Breakaway. But it feels like pretty early on, soccer was just, I mean, on the 64, it's like International Superstar Soccer, and which is Konami, right? So I think,
yes.
And then they end up doing Pro Evolution Soccer, but it like kind of is only the two. And then that's like it. Feels like it was established pretty early on. We're the two people making soccer games, and everybody else, you have no chance.
Yeah, it's definitely prevented, I think, us from getting tired of it too. Because we're even with those two baseball games, a few months down the road, we have what is it, Mike Piazza's Strike Zone. We played a little bit of that as well. So it's like everyone's trying to get in on it. I don't even think that's the end of the baseball game. So I'm kind of glad that there's not. I mean, I do have fun playing these games, but some of these, it's like this does not need to exist.
Oh, I can. Yeah, for sure. Totally.
As we sort of talked about in Olympic hockey 98, that was ridiculous.
That is one of the worst examples. It has to be in history of like we truly just reskinned this game and changed nothing. Like it was crazy.
So speaking of, actually, we're coming off of the Olympics, and I know we talked about Olympic hockey, but we didn't talk about Nagano. We didn't have you on for that one. But I will say during this Olympic season, maybe it's because of the sphere we're in, but I saw a lot of people posting about the Nagano Olympics 98 video game, and specifically the curling. Like people were like, I saw a lot of nostalgic remembrance for the curling in Nagano 98.
People have said that's good, and I've actually never played it. I don't think I bought the game, and I wasn't curling yet. I didn't start curling until, I guess I started curling in 98, 99, like fall of 98 into 99 would have been my first curling season. So yeah, I don't think I would have been at that time drawn in by like, whoa, there's a video game that has a curling element. But I have heard that it's good. And I also feel like you two both told me that you liked that when you played the Nagano game, right?
Yeah. I can't speak for, how accurate it is or anything like that, but we both had fun.
Yeah.
It's actually the only thing on that cartridge, like really worth getting it for. Like a lot of the other ones feel like it's like mini games almost.
Gotcha.
Whereas you can kind of sit down and play a game of curling and it feels more substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess, yeah, because it's like, how do you put cross country skiing in a video game if it's not just like press A as many times as you possibly can, and then but they also have fatigue meters, so you press A as much as you can until the fatigue meter goes down, then you let it fill back up, then you press A as many times as you can again. Like it's I don't know.
Not having played that game, you accurately just described a lot of the games on there.
Hey, fair enough.
Well, I guess speaking of, I think it's been since the last time you were on, you've released a book about curling. Do you want to tell our audience about that?
Sure, yeah. I wrote a book about curling.
There you go.
It's called Curling Rocks. It's a collection of essays about the game. It's some about my own career. It's some about the pro game. And yeah, it's designed to be enjoyed by non-curlers as well. So definitely there are some chapters that are a little bit more sort of like hardcore curling, but a lot of it is designed to make you laugh and just like to relate to sort of childhood stories of competing in sports and maybe not having things go your way. And yeah, so I try to draw people in, even if you're not like someone who knows anything about curling. And yeah, and I will also say, because I do know like getting people to buy and read a book about curling who don't know anything about curling might be very difficult. But the audio book is coming in April. So
yes,
if you're the type of person who would listen to a book about curling, then we have it coming for you very soon. So I'm excited about that.
I'm pumped about that. Yeah, my stupid ass, I'm going to listen to it because it's like the perfect thing for me to listen to while I do my monotonous tasks at work. Like that'll actually really get me through like a good week of work or so. So yeah, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. I did it for you, Goo.
First, before we talk about the game, let's do our flashback segment where we let people know what was going on at the time of this game's release. And we're not moving forward in time from our last episode. We're in May 19th, 1998. It's the same day as our last game, which was Biofreaks. John, you got any love for Biofreaks?
Never heard of it or played it. I think I listened to your episode with our mutual friend, Josh Custodio, about Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, and you talked about how the next game was Biofreaks. Yep. And I genuinely, when I was listening to that, was like, I have never heard of that game in my life. I don't think. Maybe if I look at the cover right now, I'll recognize the cover. No, but it does. No, I genuinely don't recognize this, but does bode well that the first thing that comes up when you Google it is a YouTube video that says Biofreaks, the worst fighting game of all time. So yeah, excited to hear you two talk about that when the episode drops.
So since we're not moving forward in time, I thought about doing like what we did last time you were on and looking at different charts and stuff. And at first I thought, I would look at the rock charts because, you have a new metal podcast. And so I was like, maybe I can find something there. But early 98 is still, I feel like before, it's like the end of 1998 when new metal takes hold. So the rock charts were more boring.
Yeah, I want to say Follow the Leader is like August 98, maybe. That's Korn's big record with Freak on a Leash on it. So yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I was just I was looking at songs like Blue on Black or something. I was like, okay, this is not like that exciting. So I instead, like the last time you were on, I don't want to like pigeonhole you as like, hey, we're going to talk about Canada stuff, but I pulled from the Canadian charts.
Love it.
A little bit of foreshadowing. You remember the last time you were on, the number one song was Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
Great tune.
Which will live throughout this episode. But at the time, Torn by Natalie Imbruglia was the number one song on the chart.
Get me going. I loved that song. Great song. And I mean, there's other people in the conversation for this, but like Natalie Imbruglia in that video might be the hottest woman of all time. It's like, I mean, she is so hot in that video. It's crazy.
You were actually checking if it was ever number one here, and it unfortunately wasn't. So
yeah.
Much
It's
like
definitely on the charts, but
much like tub thumping, I think Canada has the better taste. I think in music, like
Totally.
you know.
I mean, McKenna, you must have loved Torn.
yeah. I didn't know it at the time. But
Oh, really? Were you too young? Were you too young in 98?
I was 3 in 98.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I forget I'm so much older than everybody all the time.
Yeah, we've been tracking like a lot of what we're talking about like right now is like the primordial era for me of like the first music I ever like really loved and cherished. And you were looking ahead, McKenna, of like it's like the next year is when that starts to click for you,
I noticed 99 starts to have like Britney, Christina, the boy bands, and I was like, yeah, that's like the earliest music I remember.
So when you were like 4 or 5, that was on your radar? Like you were actually listening to Britney and Backstreet Boys and stuff?
We definitely had like I think we had like an NSYNC album, and I remember hearing that stuff on the radio at least.
You had an older brother as well too, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's what he was listening to, but
I was like, oh, and the older brother was a huge BSB guy.
my brother went to a Backstreet Boys concert a few years ago, and they did their
a few years ago. Okay, I was like, in the
tour.
moment. Ooh,
not in the moment. Like
you couldn't go to a Backstreet Boys concert in the moment when you were a man. Not in that era.
McKenna's family's pretty like plug, like even just like when we get in the car with your dad, like he's just listening to top 40 all the time. So like I feel like they would be plugged into whatever was going on like at the time.
Yeah.
Wait, your dad is like what? Like he likes current music?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
He kind of takes a little pride in it. I remember he was like, we like what's going on now. He told me that.
Like who are your dad's guys? Who does he like right now?
I don't know.
I wonder if he could like name the actual artist.
Just he turns on the pop radio station. He's like, I like
the songs. Yeah,
that is because my dad, as far as he's concerned, music stopped in 1981. So like I just grew up with like when burned CDs became a thing. My dad was like, put all of my favorite songs from when I was a teenager on burnt CDs for me, which roughly accumulated to like 4 or 5 total CDs. And he just listened to those for like 15 years.
You're good.
He's like, I listen to one and I take it out and listen to the next one, whatever. Like it's, and now he's like, he loves YouTube. So he'll look up old live performances of those same songs on YouTube. And he's like obsessed with that. But I feel like I don't know too many like older men who are just like banging top 40. Like that's pretty good. I think that's cool.
Your dad's a chill guy. He's just like puts whatever on music, TV, and just goes with it. And
McKenna's dad is a chill guy. I have such a hard time believing that given how electric McKenna is all the time. It's just like, whoa, your dad's chill? That's crazy.
Okay,
I inherited my dad's personality.
I was gonna say maybe the most chill person I listen to on any sort of regular basis.
My dad actually is a lot like how your dad was, John, but for him it went like he's a classic rock guy.
Yeah, that's my dad too.
He did go like all the way up to new metal and hard rock. Like that's why it's like so nostalgic for me, because it was like the one thing when I was like real young where it was like something I liked that was kind of cool, but he also was like buying the CDs. So I have a lot of fond memories of like riding around listening to System of a Down, or even he liked like Disturbed and Godsmack as well,
I mean, those are sort of like the dad coded new metal bands. Like most of Godsmack's songs are about leaving me alone. Like that's like the theme of most Godsmack songs, just like get away from me. Leave me alone. And I can see like in the moment, like a 45 to 50-year-old man being like, you know what? I wish my wife would fucking leave me alone. Sully gets me, dude.
Well, and that happened to him. And so
fair. Hey, fair.
But he's remarried. He's happy now. So it's all
that's good. That's good.
God, what? So that was 12 weeks total at number 1. It was the number 1 single of the year in Canada. So shout out to that. Yeah.
I had the album and I know every word to that song still, and it's a great tune, but I don't know if I would have. I guess it was ubiquitous on Canadian radio, but I don't have a sense that was like that big of a song in the country at the time.
Speaking of albums, number one album at the time was Now 3, the Canada Now 3.
I have Now 3. I had Now 2 for sure. Now 2 is like legendary for me. Now 3, though, I may not have had. Oh, I did have Now 3. Yes. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, I loved this thing. Did you look up the track list?
I have it in front of me, yes. Yeah. Obviously opens with Tub Thumping. So
of course, everything was Tub Thumping in 1998.
I wonder when Now must have started around this time in the United States, because I feel like I remember Sex and Candy being on Now 1, but I might be misremembering. So it's weird.
Yeah, it's possible we got Now ahead of the US because Now was UK originally. So
yeah, like going even further back.
Oh yeah, way further. I think Now started in like it might even be the late 80s in the UK. But so it wouldn't surprise me actually if Canada got it first, because we did tend to get UK media ideas and still do, quite frankly.
I feel like the Now CDs were those big for you as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to remember if we had any. I definitely remember seeing the commercials for them where they just like scroll through the track list and play some of the songs.
I definitely had some, and I remember actually it being kind of like a cool thing when another kid would like get one and they'd be like, oh, they've got Now 8. It's like carried so much cultural cachet in middle school.
Lunch? It's also really funny because so what would often happen with these compilations is you'd get them, and then the big thing was they would put like a lot of Canadian artists on it. This only has 2 Canadian artists on it. So I'm a little bit surprised that it's not more Canadian. It's got Econoline Crush and Great Big Sea, which I'd imagine are 2 bands you two have never heard of. Great Big Sea is like they're like an East Coast music band. They're like almost like a shanty band. They're huge on the East Coast of Canada. And then Econoline Crush was like a alternative rock band at the time.
It
but
sounds
definitely
familiar,
didn't make it big out of Canada.
Yeah, it is interesting you say that, because like I look at a majority of this album is like, yeah, this is a perfect time capsule of songs I remember from the time too. So
yeah, because we had our big compilation series was called Big Shiny Tunes, and it was done by Much Music, which was our answer to MTV. And it was very much like, it would be like almost half Canadian. Like, so if there was like 15 songs on it, 6 of them would be Canadian kind of thing. So I think I was expecting this to have a little more CanCon on it. But yeah, I mean, there's just some great songs on here. Bitch by Meredith Brooks. I mean,
love that song.
That's a classic. Who hasn't sung along to that in their car?
I would probably most of these songs like not turn off. So
I like them all. I think I'm looking through it here. I don't know if there's a skip on here for me, to be honest with you. I like all these. I know all the words to, I think, almost all of these songs. The Difference by the Wallflowers, that was like their second single. I wouldn't know all the words to that, but I'd know the chorus. Same thing with Janet Jackson, Together Again. And then I think I know all the words to all the rest of the songs on here.
Wow.
So big moment in time for me.
I've sung all my life on this podcast. So that's one of those songs for me. Foundational.
I prayed for someone like you. I thank God.
I finally found you. It's
an
hard
elementary
once you get
school
going.
Dance song. That was like,
yep.
You could get your crush to dance with you to that. You were cruising at that age. That was like, oh my God.
I didn't have any Canadian box office, so I was like, let's check back in with Titanic. It's number 6 at the US box office still. So shout out to Titanic, still going.
Shout out.
Also in May of 1998, this is on the 3rd, this is for you, John, the event Jeopardy! Battle of the Bay Area Brains.
Oh, okay.
Is this a game that you remember?
So funny, because I didn't know about this. Emily, I co-host a Jeopardy! Podcast with called What is a Jeopardy! Podcast, Emily Heller, who is from the Bay Area. It grew up just outside of San Francisco, and then went to Santa Monica, not Santa Monica, Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz. That's the one she went to. And we play this game on the show called Blind Final Jeopardy, where we find like an old Final Jeopardy category from years past, and we try to guess the answer without seeing the clue or hearing the clue. And then I usually look up like what Jeopardy game it was actually from. And I looked it up, and it was, the Bay Area Battle of the Brains. And I was like, what the hell? And I was like, Emily, have you ever heard of this before? And it was like 3 past champions from the Bay Area, and then like all the categories were about the Bay Area. But then we were wondering like if they did a bunch of like fluffy stuff, because there were so many unread clues. Like if you go on the Jeopardy archive, you can see how the game played out, and it was like half the board was like unread clues. So we were like, were there a ton of video clues, or like what was slowing all this down? It was very bizarre.
Then I guess you already know the Final Jeopardy of that one.
What was it again? Remind me. It was something about religion. Was it religion?
Yep. This religious order, founded in 1209, is sometimes called the Grey Friars or Begging Brothers.
I feel like it was related to the Bay Area in some way, the answer, but I don't even know if I remember the answer.
Oh, it is. I actually didn't think about that till you said it.
Is it the Franciscans?
Yeah.
Because they named it after San Francisco. Yeah. Okay. I remember.
Okay, well, that's a cool piece of trivia. I feel like they should do, I guess it's hyper focused on one area that might not be as exciting.
Weird, yeah.
World Cup 98 is a soccer game where you'll get to play through the 1998 FIFA World Cup tournament in France. It is the third FIFA game on the Nintendo 64 and the first 3D World Cup game. The main World Cup tournament mode features a group mode in which you can use the real-life groups or a randomization of the 40 teams included. Teams will then move on to a knockout bracket. You can also play a single friendly match between any of the teams in any of the France venues. World Cup Classics mode lets you play 15 classic World Cup final games with period-accurate teams. In addition to these modes, World Cup 98 includes new in-game strategies, allowing you to change formations, run plays, and execute skill moves like nutmegs and rainbow kicks. As in previous games, you are able to customize players and teams. Choose your team and up to 3 friends to win the cup in World Cup 98.
This was developed and published by EA. They did a N64, PS1, and Windows version. Software Creations did the port for Nintendo 64. They also previously did Hexen and Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98, the ports of those. Also, there was a Game Boy version done by Tiertex Design Studios, published by THQ, that came out around the same time. I played a little bit of that. It was all right. It's definitely not the same game, but it was fun. This was, of course, to come out around the same time for the FIFA World Cup 1998 games, which were from June to July 1998, as you mentioned, in France. John, do you have much memory of the 98 World Cup?
Yeah, I was just starting to get into soccer around this time. So I might have mentioned this when we did the Road to the World Cup episode. I'm not sure. But David Beckham really was like a crossover star. Like you kind of can't overstate it. I mean, yeah, for McKenna, who was 3, and other people from that time, it's easy to say or to know, like, yeah, he married a Spice Girl and he was like the most famous guy on earth or whatever. But like, unless you lived it, it was a real thing. Like we had a program here in Canada called Soccer Saturday, where every Saturday they would play an English Premiership game. A TSN is our version of ESPN. And they would play Manchester United games basically every week because of David Beckham. And so I kind of just got into soccer like almost through him, became a fan of Manchester United because of him. And then, of course, he was on the English team. So this is when I like really started to get into soccer. Like I actually watched a lot of these World Cup games. I was cheering for England. Obviously, they had the big moment where David Beckham got sent off against Argentina, and then they ended up losing the game. But yeah, I remember this World Cup very vividly. France, of course, won on home soil, and it was it was a big. This was like a big moment, and then also like I had World Cup '98, so it was kind of a. I had the game, and then I was also watching the soccer on TV. So this is very much sticks out in the memory.
Awesome. Okay, perfect guess for this. For me, I obviously knew who David Beckham was, but I don't know. It might just because soccer wasn't as big like where I grew up or anything. So I feel like it's not till later where I was really even familiar with him, and like I've never really followed the World Cup or anything. But I know you have plenty, McKenna. This might be before your time, but
yeah, I mean, I definitely knew who Beckham was. Yeah. I definitely knew him as a soccer player before I knew him as someone who married a Spice Girl.
I knew there's that movie.
Bend It Like That. Yeah, I had that DVD, watched it all the time.
Good movie, honestly.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
An early Keira Knightley movie.
Yeah. Keira Knightley, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, I think, is the the mentor / coach. Mm-hmm. It's weirdly like it's like a pretty like ahead of its time movie, I think, in terms of it dealt with like the bend it like Beckham part is about sort of like bending like racial expectations in soccer, essentially, and it's about like a South Asian girl like kind of being excluded from her soccer team. And yeah, it's like there's more going on there than just like, oh, it's two girls and they're playing soccer. It's not exactly.
When did that come out?
Ooh, early aughts, maybe.
Okay, it's like maybe we'll hit that. Maybe we'll have to watch that. Maybe as some supplementary material.
It's 2002.
Okay, yeah. This there's like a Tony Hawk game, I think, that probably came out that year. That's like the end of our reign. As you mentioned, France defeated Brazil. There was a lot of like interesting sort of trivia that I read related to this. That it wasn't until like right before the game that Ronaldo was like confirmed to be playing on that game. I guess it came out later that he had some like convulsions or something like that they weren't sure if he was going to be able to play, and it led to like all these conspiracy theories about what happened there. And I feel like it seems like, not like he's never had any like health issues related to it since then. So I can only imagine it's got like, fed the fire of like, well, what happened? Well, do you remember any of that, John?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, I was 13 when this was or I guess I was 12 because it would have been the summer of '98. I have a late birthday. So I wouldn't have been probably as plugged into like sports news. It's also pre-internet, right? So it wasn't, you just kind of turned on the TV when the game was on and you watched the game, and that was kind of it. So I really don't remember that, to be honest. Now that like when you brought that up, I was kind of like, oh, the main thing I remember about this, which you actually get in the game as well, is they introduced the golden goal at this World Cup. So that was where extra time was sudden death, because it used to be that you'd play 90 minutes and then if it was tied, you played another 30 minutes and it was whatever the score was at the end of the 30 minutes would be the final result. And if it was still tied, then you would go to a shootout. And then I think to like make it so that players weren't necessarily playing all these like extra time games in a row at the World Cup and burning themselves out, they decided to introduce the golden goal, which was it made the extra time sudden death. So if you scored, you won. And everybody in soccer pretty much universally hated it.
Okay.
And so that was like the kind of the big story of this. And then they kind of walked it back, and then they went to like a system they called the silver goal, which was like the 30 minutes is divided into two 15-minute halves. So then they made it that if one team was leading at the end of the first half of extra time, they would win, but it would potentially give teams some time to come back if you scored a goal with, let's say, 5 minutes left in that first half or whatever. And then people didn't like that either, and now they've fully gone back to just we play 30 minutes of extra time.
It's the tradition, right? You got to keep the tradition. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Time. Even we had the game on, and even in the game, like the commentators, they kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, we didn't know if he was going to be playing, but he's playing. It doesn't seem like at the time they on the commentary, they didn't treat it like a big deal. So they probably something you want to keep under wraps at the moment. He took a big spill in the game. There's like an incredible clip of him like falling or like kind of, colliding with another person. He takes like a sick bump in the middle of the match. It was scary, actually.
I genuinely don't remember. I remember France winning, but I remember the game that England lost Argentina. But other than that, I don't have a ton of like vivid memories. Oh, and Dennis Bergkamp scores an unbelievable goal in the third place game for the Netherlands against Croatia. That like everybody remembers because it was friggin' insane. It was such a sick goal.
So another thing that didn't really come out till later was that there was a terror plot that was thwarted.
Yes, I remember this World Cup.
That was it was partially sponsored by Osama bin Laden. So we've been doing there's a lot of foreshadowing in this podcast for later episodes. So
you guys are playing the 9/11 game towards the end of this.
We've had a couple moments in our like recaps of the news where we're like, oh brother, they have no idea.
It is funny because I do think there is like a subset of like video game journalism that at a time was like, this game is clearly reckoning with 9/11 or whatever. And you're like, is it? Are we sure? But I feel like that's not on the N64.
Nope. I can only think of like I said, past 9/11, you get like Tony Hawk or like the Razor scooter game.
Right. Yeah. Is Bad Fur Day after 9/11? I know that's one of the like last games on the system.
That's a
Conker's
sentence.
Bad Fur Day a response to 9/11?
2000. I don't know.
No, Conker's Bad Fur Day is March 2001, so it causes 9/11.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be.
Osama bin Laden saw that and he was like, "America has to be stopped."
That's too far. I know this is a British studio, but
he was in Diddy Kong Racing and he was totally normal and cute in that. What have they done to my boy?
And he was a gamer, so he probably did have strong feelings.
He was living in caves. You don't think he had a friggin' video game system in there? For sure he did.
The Cup of Life by Ricky Martin was the theme song for FIFA 98.
The Cup of Life is such a funny name for a World Cup anthem. Ricky, we want you to do a song for the World Cup. You have any ideas? Well, yes, I've been toying with this idea, the Cup of Life.
I don't know. It's kind of a banger, I think, but
Spanish version way better than the English version.
Yeah, in the English version, it like sounds wrong. Like the words sound.
We played it and I was like, this doesn't sound right. And then we were like, yeah, I think we're used to the Spanish version.
Which is weird. I feel like it's like not like better, but that's like what we're exposed to more. But
do you think it was because he was just like directly translating the lyrics from Spanish so they didn't make perfect sense? Or
I feel like it made sense. It's just like it didn't sound as like nice the way it didn't like the words just didn't flow as nice, right. Like I guess more poetically or whatever, like singing it. But it did make sense. It wasn't like, oh, it's a bad Google Translate or anything.
Right. Because what is it in Spanish? Like La Coupe de Villa or something like that? Copa de Villa?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I should know this, but
you guys are like, it's La Copa de la Vida. I just looked it up. You guys are like, we've been just banging this song left and right these last few days. Oh,
Maybe it's
we don't know the words.
I don't know.
I truly don't, but I know when he sings them in English, I'm like, this is wrong. This doesn't sound right.
De la
I don't
Vida,
need to understand this.
Right away, you can already tell how it may not, if it's the same melody, may not work, because the Cup of Life has way less syllables than La Copa de la Vida. So right away, you're like, oh, okay, I can see how that maybe didn't go exactly how we planned.
Yeah, it's not right. So when you start up the game, the first thing you see is the mascot of World Cup '98, Footix, who I had no idea. I had not heard of this before. We also had this sort of thing with the Nagano Olympics game, had like the little mascot characters they used in like the theming of the game. And I think that's cool. I think more sporting events need like mascots. Like I think every Super Bowl should get a mascot. I think, what at WrestleMania or whatever should have a mascot. Like, why aren't we doing this more? Especially for video games. Like especially in the 90s on Nintendo 64, like seeing a cute mascot character, that's what you want to see.
Yeah, I love it. He's like running on the like globe or whatever, or on a soccer ball. And then we got tub thumping playing in the background. I mean, who doesn't love it?
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's our second case of licensed music. I don't think we've had anything since the last time you were on, John, with Song 2 by Blur. So I think 2 licensed songs, and I think they're both pretty banging. I will say of course, the PlayStation 1 version, it got a slightly nicer opening like usual, because it's got all that, it can load from a CD. There's more storage. So, but I think the vibes of this game, they're pretty comparable to Road to World Cup '98, but it sort of, to me, was like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think that applies to both the aesthetic of the game, but also like the gameplay. I don't have as much to say because I feel like it's functionally similar, maybe a little better. I don't know, how'd that strike you, John? Like playing this, does it seems like basically the same game, I would say?
Yeah, very, very similar for sure. I think you're right. I think it probably controls a little tighter. I think this had the same problems that FIFA basically had for years, and still maybe has. I haven't played a FIFA game in a few years, but the gap in difficulty levels is pretty jarring. Like if you play on amateur, you pretty much can just hit the turbo button and sprint through the entire team, and no one tackles you or takes the ball off you, and then you can just shoot it in the net. Which is what I did, because they won't let you play the World Cup Classics mode until you play an entire World Cup. So I just set it to 2 minutes on amateur difficulty and averaged about 6 goals a game. Got it so I could unlock the Cup Classics mode. And then professional is like, it's not like it's insanely hard, but it is like so much harder than amateur. And then world class is another step above that. But yeah, I think I would just say the gameplay is tighter. As McKenna mentioned, there's more stuff to do. Like they figure out buttons you can press to like offside trap players. You can call help in defense. You can do dekes, and you can dive in this game, which I teased when we did the Road to the World Cup episode. But there's a button combo you can press to dive, and then sometimes that results in your opponent getting a penalty. Or committing a foul because you dove if they slide tackle near you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so there's like a whole list of like cool stuff you can do, and they do it in a way like where I'm actually sort of impressed with the way that they use the whole N64 controller layout, because the way they do it is you press either the Z trigger or the L and R triggers, and then use one of the C buttons to activate the tricks. So they actually map out like 8 different tricks you can do by holding different triggers when you do it, which feels like a lot of N64 games at that time hadn't quite got there yet. It's like the controls are mostly pretty basic and just use the face buttons as is, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's well, this is a totally different game, but we're starting to like dabble with some of that in like Banjo-Kazooie has that, where you have to hold C and use the C buttons yeah, it does feel like a little bit more advanced. I appreciate that from your perspective, because like I'm still not like I really enjoyed this game, but I'm still not on the level with soccer games where I'm like really getting into the nitty gritty and like mastering some of the controls. Like I'm still playing it more arcade style, like shoot, pass, turbo, and I'm hitting some of the other buttons. Like, what does this do occasionally? But it is growing on me. I think I can sort of excuse like the similarity to the last game. Even at the time, I can imagine, because it's been a year and I feel like they refined it. Whereas like the year before from that first FIFA game, which was terrible.
Horrible, yeah.
So I feel like they earned maybe just a bit more of a iteration here with this one, because they kind of figured out something that like played well. And I feel like they, you can improve upon that and tweak it a bit. Did you notice you were saying maybe you thought the previous one was better, but then you replayed it and you couldn't tell?
I was like going back and forth playing matches in the two, and I was like, I don't know. I went back and I was like, maybe I like this better. And then I went to World Cup and said, okay, maybe I'm having some of the same issues in both. I did think that maybe my teammate computer players were smarter in World Cup 98. It felt like that.
You had some scoring goals.
I had an instance where like one of my teammates scored off of like, I hadn't even given them a direct assist and they just went and scored. And I don't think I had seen that happen before in a soccer game I've played on the Nintendo 64. I'm sure teammates have scored off of a pass, but this felt like more like they did it on their own.
I can't remember. I feel like I've had some. I can't remember now if I'm thinking of the hockey games, the soccer games, or just because like there is like an option usually where you can like pass and then they'll shoot right away. So I can't remember if like I definitely have had the computer players on my team score, but I can't remember if it was like I assisted them, like you said. So I'm not sure. Do you feel like the team AI, John, is any different in this?
Yeah, I think so. I think like the pass targeting and stuff is a little better for sure.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
If you know stuff about soccer, like it's all about runs, right? Like you want your teammates to like make runs in behind the defense, and you time the pass to beat offside and like have them meet the ball behind the defense. And yeah, I think this game does that pretty well. Like I think considering all the things they've sort of added as far as, like the free kick system is totally different. Like you have like you can curve the free kicks and they've got the free kick arrow and like all that stuff. And then as we said, they added like the jukes and the nutmegs and stuff like that. Considering everything they added, I feel like it plays quite well. You would think adding that much stuff from Road to the World Cup, some of it would feel sort of janky, and it does in a sense. Like I think the physics of the game at times are very poor. Like the ball can just like go through people. You yourself as a person can just like go through another guy sometimes. Like the collision physics and the ball physics are not perfect for sure. But in terms of, like the way I would say it is, in terms of the number of things they added to the controls, it is surprising how much of it works well, I would say.
I feel like I did notice more. It might just be just growing used to it, but I felt like I noticed more like wonky stuff the last time we played Road to World Cup.
Right.
But yeah, definitely. I appreciate at least that there are like fun physics in this, and compared to a game like we played NHL Breakaway, and that was a game where they were trying to have physics, but there would be times where like you would just like come to a like stop like a brick with like the collisions. It would like totally kill like your momentum in a way that was like felt unnatural. And so with this, I never felt like that sort of feeling, but maybe it was because I was like going through guys instead. But I don't know. It was a good feel. It's still a good feeling game. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, they probably have to like really improve it for me to like be stoked to play like more. But I don't know.
Right.
I think it's a fun game still.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I kind of just think like the way that I would describe this game, because I was a big time FIFA guy. Like it was probably my most played and favorite game pretty much from like World Cup 98 through to like FIFA 12 or 13. Like I bought it every year. I played it a ton. Me and one of my best friends would play together all the time. So to me, I just always felt like it was a really, really, it was just a really big part of my life. And I think the important thing about this game for me anyway is that this was the clear moment where it felt like EA made a choice about how their games were going to control and how they were going to be presented. Like they laid the groundwork with Road to the World Cup. Like I think, you know, as you two have said, and as we've said, like that first game is brutal. Like it's so bad. FIFA Soccer 64, like it's almost unplayable. And then it's like Road to the World Cup 98. They figure out the gameplay and a little bit of the presentation, but like the menus are kind of ugly. The jerseys are not correct. You know, stuff like that. And then this was the one to me where it feels like EA is sort of recognizing, okay, the gameplay of International Superstar Soccer might be better, but we're going to have the slicker game and we're going to have the license. And that's what we're going to deliver on. Because like the menu for this is pretty slick. Like it's got that sort of circular kind of menu choice at the beginning. Like they're kind of trying to go for something there. And then, yeah, like adding all the team management menus, and it's all like the graphics for that are really cool. You can see the whole field laid out and you can swap guys in and out, have all of that. Then having all the official team jerseys in this feels massive. Like I can remember that being such a cool thing. Like when I'm playing as England, like they're wearing the England jersey that I have at home. Like it's, you know, that felt crazy. And then even just some of the style choices, like they do, I don't know if you guys have this, but there's like the camera presentations, like they do the celebrations. You can customize the celebrations, like while they're celebrating a goal, you can press buttons to make them do different celebrations. There's like an animation where you score and then the camera focuses in on the goalie and then he like drop kicks the camera. I don't know if you,
I didn't see that. That's awesome. Saw that.
Yeah. It goes, so you score and then it kind of shows you celebrate. And then the camera sort of like slow pans almost like into the goalie's face. And then the goalie pushes the camera and it like backs off a bit. And then he like winds up and like drop kicks it. And then the camera angle goes back and up to the sky.
Whoa.
And you just like see the sky, like he kicked the camera. And so this to me was like the moment where EA kind of made that decision that like we might be a little bit more arcadey than whatever Konami's doing. Cause then Konami ends up doing it with Pro Evolution Soccer, where it's like, yeah, they're going to maybe have the more tighter controlled game, the more simulation kind of style game, but we're going to present it like you're watching a soccer game on TV. And I think that drew a lot of people in. And so to me, this game is actually quite significant in the history of soccer games because this sort of felt like the first time where they were really leaning in on the presentation aspect, I would say.
Yeah, it was slick. Like the commentary sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing a thing lately where you'll run a simulation of a season and just kind of let it go. And you had that on today, and it was just kind of like while I was doing stuff like around the house today, while you had that on, it was like just kind of pleasant. It's like, I don't know, just hearing the game go. I was like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah, it felt a little nostalgic for me because my dad would just throw on soccer games all the time, and I'd be around like playing on my Game Boy or something, just having the game on in the background while I'm doing other stuff, and that's what I was doing today. I was like, yeah, this really without looking, I don't think I would know if this is
Sure.
an actual soccer game or a video game.
Yeah, like the commentary doesn't get too repetitive, really. And this is probably the start. Like that's a thing every year. Like sports games are always the like what them and like racing games are always like the litmus test of like the graphics on a console. And like with sports games, it's always like, oh, if you look at it, it looks like a real game is going on. And obviously, like that's a little bit laughable now with this game. But honestly, like I was cleaning up like in the back of the room. You had this on in, and I looked forward. I was like, you know what? From a distance, like this is pretty passable. Like this looks like,
oh yeah,
it looks like a soccer game happening. So yeah.
Well, I think I also think that it in terms of like I said, having the jerseys adds a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So it even again, like they're lacking details. Obviously, like the jerseys don't have any of the players' names on the back of them, just their numbers. Whereas in real life, they would have had their names on the back of a lot of them. But they look like it. Like if you're watching England play Brazil, at a glance, it looks like England playing Brazil. Like England's wearing a white strip or a red strip with the like stripes down the side, and Brazil's wearing yellow and blue, and like it looks like those two teams playing. And I also think one thing that I thought was impressive about this is the stadiums look different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can play in all the World Cup stadiums in this, and even like obviously the sort of fly in at the beginning of the game, they all look different, but then like even the fields themselves, like you can kind of tell like they have different lawn patterns for different fields, and some of them look a little different if they're night games, they're kind of like lit a little different. Like I think it just speaks to the like we're going to go all in on the presentation aspect of this, which I think makes a big difference. So, and the guy commentating is like the guy at the time too, so that helps. I mean, obviously you get that with Madden and stuff, but I find a lot of the sports games of this time, they're like, who's like a play-by-play guy that we could pay sort of a minimal amount to, like if it was a Major League Baseball game, they weren't like, let's get Bob Costas. They were like, let's get the Seattle Mariners guy or whatever, Whereas like this is John Motson, I think, and it's Des Lyman. Like it's like the real guys who would be commentating these games, which I think also adds a huge element to it as well.
Did they have a thing when you were looking at couldn't you look at this like map that had the stadiums on there? I'm trying to remember what mode that was in.
Yeah. When you go to play the game, it shows you where the stadiums are on a map of France.
I just thought that was really cool. Like it did like actually really lean into like the World Cup theming. It didn't just feel like, oh, this is like the next FIFA game. Like it really, it felt like that, of course, but also like that it was really taking advantage of the World Cup theme, which why wouldn't you? But and I like you mentioned the celebrations; those were really cool. And also, I will just say to the game's credit, like again, it might just be me kind of growing more fondness for this game based on like familiar, like the last one. But this game, I actually did play through the World Cup Classics to unlock the World Cup Classics mode, which I wasn't as compelled to in Road to World Cup. I'm not sure like what it is about this one, but it was actually pretty nice. Like I did it in like two sittings, like of just like a few hours, and obviously I did it on easy, so it wasn't too challenging. But it's like a nice, for me, not being an expert in this type of game, it's like a nice entry level difficulty. You said you were having some problems with it, or you were doing okay.
Oh no. I mean, I was winning the games that I was playing.
You just had like specific issues.
Yeah. Just like probably some of the same stuff from Road. Whereas like I think a lot of times it was like I'm passing it to someone who I can't see, and it's not always going to them, like if they're off screen or stuff like, I get the ball, but the player would take a step or a dribble before I could pass it, even if when I wanted to pass it quickly.
Oh, it didn't feel as immediate. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah,
They definitely don't have the camera angle nailed in this one. So the default is what they call the telecam, which is like they are saying is like the television cam, but it's too tight. So I played on the tower cam, which is funny because it zooms out the players, but they didn't know how to make the ball smaller. So the ball appears like almost as big as the players, which is really funny. But it just allows you to see, I would say, probably 30% more of the field when you're playing. And then I would say in future games, the default cam is usually also called the telecam or the broadcast cam. And I would say it's about halfway between the telecam in this game and the tower cam in this game. So this one, it's definitely too tight, McKenna. You're right. Like it's a lot of, you're passing to arrows. Like it's telling you there is a guy open on this side of the screen, but you don't actually know that for sure. You're just like, oh, well, okay, it's telling me that. I'll pass it. And then, yeah, often the ball gets picked off or whatever.
You know, we usually, I feel like one of the first things we do is look at the camera angles. And I don't know, I like the default one came up and I was like, all right, I'm rolling with it. That's odd we didn't.
Yeah, I feel like we usually end up going with the default. So
but we want to see the weird camera angles.
Yeah.
Because
they definitely have some weird ones. They have a ball cam, which is like, I don't even know how you play with that on. Like it just follows the ball only.
Does this one have a first person? We've played some We've played some sports games that have had a first person, which is a little.
We played some weird. Fighting BioFreaks. You can go first person mode even.
Oh no,
it's horrible. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of these with some of these 3D, like the early 3D sports games where they just do it because they can. You know, they're like, this is sick. Yes. Like let's include it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're totally like, we'll give you the option, but you would never ever play with that option ever.
Speaking of like, I guess there's like kind of weird, I don't know, not hidden things, but kind of quirky things about this was everywhere you read about this game, this happens with a lot of sports games from the time, especially when there's widely different versions, where if you go read, whether it's Wikipedia or another like article that's kind of like aggregated different stuff from the time, they kind of sometimes are talking broadly about all the versions of the game, and then other times they're talking about specific versions of the game, but they don't specify that they are. So like we were reading in like descriptions of it that when you played the World Cup classic modes, like the older games would be in black and white, or like depending on the like cameras of the time, or like some are like more like sepia tone look to it, and that's not in the N64 version, right? You were searching for that.
Yeah, I checked the ones that it said it would apply to, and that they just looked like a regular game in the Nintendo 64. And then I was trying to figure out what version it would be on. I found a YouTube video of someone playing one of the games on PlayStation, and it did have the sepia.
I guess
that was like the only one I could find.
Something they had to cut from the Nintendo 64 version, probably.
But curious
it's weird
why they had
because, I had the same issue because I had a vivid memory of the Cup Classics mode being sepia toned. Like that is like distinctively in my memory. And maybe it wasn't from this game because I think it's a trick that they pulled in other games. So maybe I'm thinking of like World Cup 2002 or 2006 or something. That's possible. But I had the same experience where I was like, I remember this being in sepia, and I remember there being a different commentator. Now, it makes sense that the N64 version would not be able to support more audio. But yeah, that's obviously an amazing detail that they're like, well, John Motson wouldn't have called the World Cup in 1966, but the guy who did is still alive. So we'll get him to do the commentary for those games. I mean, that's amazing. That's such a cool feature. But yeah, I I didn't have it either. So I was trying to think, like, is that an emulator thing? Is that an N64 thing? Because like I say, I have this vivid memory of playing these sepia toned games and thinking it was really cool, but it could just be that I'm conflating it with a different version of the game.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I guess I don't understand why it would be harder to make it black and white, but I don't know anything about game development, so I'll just go, sure, fine.
Yeah, the audio makes perfect sense, but the black and white and sepia tone seems like that wouldn't be that hard to include on a cartridge. So I don't know.
We've played so many games where you can do like rainbow colors as a mode, and it seems like
or wireframe mode.
GoldenEye has paintball mode where you can literally like paint the entire level, and also has wireframe mode,
DK mode. Like what?
Yeah.
I will say I played some of the Cup classics, which was fun. It's a minor detail, but I kind of liked I still kind of prefer the historical games and International Superstar Soccer, where they throw you in the middle of a game, like at like a crucial moment. You play less of the game, of course, but I like that they kind of like contextualize the game, especially for me. Like I see the, like in this one, they show you the score that the game did have, and like that's okay, cool, in the year, but I kind of like that little extra bit where they kind of like put you in like the key moment, and that was fun for us because we would play together, and we'd be playing as the team that's like down. It's like we got to score, and I don't know. There was like it was cool because it was like a different way to sort of engage with the game, even though it's functionally the same mechanics.
Yeah, this one's just like playing like a regular game.
It's still neat, but I kind of prefer that. I don't know. Overall, though, I mean, the game seems to be positively reviewed. Even like at the time, there were some reviews that like told people like, hey, if you have Road to World Cup, you might want to skip this one. But I think even if you did, like, obviously no one back then is listening, but I don't know. I still think it's like unique enough. Like, it's not as egregious as Olympic Hockey 98 when we're talking, months out from the last Wayne Gretzky game. Here's basically the same game. Like,
well, I think too, for me, the big thing is like, number one, they are adding elements to it. Like they're adding the team management strategies, the different controls, but then it's also the presentation. Like one of our major issues with Olympic Hockey 98 is like they had none of the jerseys, right? So like, again, I think I do think there is an appetite for video game players to be like, oh, this is really cool. I get to play, with Wayne Gretzky and Eric Lindros and Mario Lemieux all on the same line, and they're wearing the Canada jersey that they wore in Nagano. Like, I feel like just that alone does make the purchase worth it for some people, because you're like, yeah, I get to see the jerseys in the game. It's really cool. But Olympic Hockey 98 was literally just like, we took a white jersey and we put the Canada flag on it. We took a red jersey and we put the Canada flag on it. So that really made it feel like a reskin where you're like, oh gosh, they just truly haven't even tried, So I think even if they didn't add all of the team management stuff and whatever, just the official World Cup jerseys alone add something to it where it does feel a little bit more realistic. And they also have the Jules Rimet trophy in the game, which, in 98, that's not an insignificant thing, that like you win the World Cup and you get to see the players celebrating with the actual World Cup trophy.
Those are cool, like running across the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think it's easy, like you said, we're in 2026. It's easy to look at those minor details and not even have a second thought about them, because now it's like if you played FIFA and you won the World Cup, it would basically look exactly like a World Cup trophy presentation from current day with they'd have you all on the stage, and the FIFA president is also for some reason his likeness is in the game, and he comes out and passes you the trophy, whatever. But in 1998, just like seeing the World Cup trophy in a game was like, holy shit, like I won the World Cup.
Yeah, there's
which I think is worth something for sure.
There's not even a cover athlete of this game. It's the trophy. Let's start
because
the
I
show.
think this was the first game that got the license for the trophy. So I think that's why. And and then so you go back to like Olympic hockey, like there's no medal ceremony in that if you win the Olympics or whatever. It's just like, congratulations, Canada has won the 1998 Olympics or whatever, whereas again, if they're wearing the Canada jersey and there's some kind of thing where they're all standing on the blue line and the national anthem is playing and someone comes out and puts a medal over their neck or something, you would pop for that in 98.
Yeah.
Because you would have never seen it before. But obviously, it had none of that. Whereas this game, it does have that. And I think that adds something even beyond the Cup Classics mode, which is solid, all the additions we've talked about. It makes it feel like a consequential game, I think.
Yeah, beyond, I think, even like that stuff we talked about, like seeing the stadiums and stuff like that. Like actually being like, it works both in the time because it's like, hey, you're living this big moment, like this big sporting event is happening, but it also works as like a time capsule of like going back and specifically remembering both the game and the event, where like you don't get that so much at all with Olympic hockey 98. And I think that's something that like even more so than the gameplay is something like I think both you and I are sometimes looking out for in these games, is just the pure vibes of it all. Like we threw on the anthems in Olympic hockey and it's like, okay, it's a little underwhelming.
Yeah. This feels like a World Cup game, or that just feels like the hockey game, basically.
Just the hockey game. Yeah. So, I mean, that's I don't know. That's something they should have thought about us in the future, seeking out these games, like make them cooler time capsules.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't feel tossed off, and I think it could have, right? Like I think there was a world. I mean, like we said, we've seen it with Olympic hockey, but there was a world where you play this game and you go, this is just like a shitty cash grab. And obviously there's a cash grab element to it, of course, but this is also in an era where there's not a yearly FIFA game, right? So like you have to consider that too. It's like, you had FIFA Soccer 64, which blows. Then you had Road to the World Cup. Now you have World Cup, but it's not the same as like when you get into later years, like in 06, like I had World Cup 06, but I also had FIFA 06. Like they came out in the same year. And so, and it was cool to play World Cup 06 and I liked it. I'm not saying I didn't like it, but it's just like, that felt a little bit more cash grabby than this does, because it's like, they're not even doing yearly FIFA games at this point.
Like this is the one, basically.
This is the one. Exactly. So yeah, I think they treated it with care. I think adding a lot of the presentation elements was really cool and made it feel, as McKenna said, like I'm playing a World Cup game. And yeah, even if there's a slight cash grabby element to it because the gameplay is very similar to Road to the World Cup, it has enough different things that I think if you bought it at that time, you wouldn't have been like, oh, I got absolutely hosed on this.
Yeah, I'm speaking a bit as an outsider because I don't play like the current ones, but it does seem like if it's a cash grab, it's pretty quaint compared to like complaints I've heard about the FIFA games going on more recently. With how they treat a lot of these games now, with like I assume they do like loot boxes and crap in that game. I'm only assuming, but I don't know.
There's some of that, but it, like all of them have Ultimate Team, which is like their big like microtransactions way of like, it's a big element of playing online where you like rip packs and then you get players that you can use as part of your Ultimate Team. So you get like, you get Ronaldo from the 1998 World Cup and he's a 99 overall and you can put him in your lineup or whatever. And that kind of thing exists. But it's not even so much that, it's just that now that EA is such a monolith in the sports game world, it's just like every year the games are the same basically.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you have to go almost got to be either a new console generation or it's like about every 5 years where they'll maybe make some material change. But it's just like, yeah, all sports games now, Madden, NHL, MLB The Show, all of that. It's just sort of the game comes out and you're like, no, this is exactly the same as last year. There's very little that's different. And so I think that's more what stands out to me over the microtransactions. Is just like,
sure,
there's no reason for them to get better because people are still buying them because it's the only game in town. And if you want to play online, you have to have the newest one. So that's how they suck you in. But yeah, that's what's disappointing. Whereas like this, it really feels like they were like, okay, we did X, Y, and Z in Road to the World Cup 98. So now for this one, we have to do F, G, and H, or people aren't going to buy it. And that doesn't exist anymore. And I think that's the sad part about modern sports games for me.
They really had to. With the Konami games are so good. At least what we've played so far was so good. It's still probably for me, like gameplay wise, like what I would rather go to. So I feel like they need something like that to kind of like compete. But once you get the license, I feel like it's tough to compete with that and easy to dominate.
For sure.
Did you like the trivia? They would give you trivia in the game.
Some of it was funny. Like some of it was interesting. So yeah, like what Gu is talking about, they would give you a trivia question at halftime, and then when the game ended, they would give you the correct answer. Yeah. And it was funny because it would be like some of them would be actually like interesting facts or whatever, you know, where it would be like, you know, which two teams have played in the most World Cup finals or something. And then you could, you know, make an educated guess. But then like some of the questions were like, how many goals combined has England scored at every World Cup appearance that they've ever had? Is it 89, 101, or 107 or whatever? And it's like, okay, well,
and you have to like think of that time too. It's
it's like not an engaging fact to learn. You're just blind guessing basically.
I feel like,
but yeah, I mean, I liked it. I love trivia. Why not?
This is a nice little
good practice.
Yeah, more trivia to practice. I don't want to spoil your podcast, but we popped yesterday when they mentioned the curling was one of the clues on Jeopardy we were watching. I was like, oh, yes. John.
You know, I'll be bringing that up on the pod next week. It's already in my notes.
Okay, well, this is coming out way after, so we're not spoiling. I don't want to steal your pod's content, you know. So.
Oh, you're good. It's totally fine.
But we got one that was like, what was the attendance of this or something like that? Right, it was just like a big numbers, and I'm like, I don't know. Something thousand. Yeah. Did you get any right?
No.
Yeah. I kind of stopped. Like, I would just like, I'll wait to the end to where they tell me because there's no way I'm going to guess this.
Yeah.
Oh, and some of them were just such punishing questions for being from like 30 years ago. Like I got one where it was like, how many players in the England squad currently play for West Ham United? And you're like, okay. And then it was like 1, 3, or 5. I'm like, well, I wouldn't have known it at the time, I'm sure. But now, especially 30 years later, you're like, I have no idea.
There were a handful of other games based on the World Cup that didn't have a license. Like I was looking for some future episodes that are coming up. I was looking like what games came out around this time, and I saw that there's like a Neo Geo like arcade. There's like Neo Geo World Cup. Like there's a handful. Like every basically platform that didn't get this game kind of did their own version. Sega got the license for the Saturn, so there was a World Cup.
That's funny.
World Cup 98 France Road to Win was the Saturn exclusive.
Road to Win such a funny subtitle.
And actually in Japan, Konami got the license to the World Cup, and they made what is here International Superstar Soccer 98 in Japan. It was actually their version of the World Cup game. So we haven't gotten to that one yet, but I'm kind of I'm kind of excited to see what they do, because I wondered if it's a thing where they then had to like reverse engineer the licensed stuff out of it, or if they, like, did they, I wonder how much they made it, like, thinking about the American release compared to the Japanese release, and like, how much different it is, if it's really just like the uniform change, and if it takes advantage of the theme as strongly as this game does. I feel like it probably doesn't, but that's something we'll be looking out for when we get there. Otherwise, I don't know, McKenna, do you have any other thoughts on this game?
I don't think so.
McKenna, I know you don't like, or like, sports games are not your first choice, but like, are soccer games like your favorite of sports games?
Yeah, probably. Just because I know how to play soccer, so I'm kind of just playing it how I would play soccer.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's more enjoyable. You heard me. Probably heard me celebrating some goals.
I can hear you. Yeah,
I'm definitely like louder about it.
You're invested.
I get more into it. Yeah.
I feel like on our chronology, like I've probably connected a little bit more with the soccer games as well over. Yeah, I can't think of any. Like, I've started to grow a fondness for some of the other games, like, as we encounter more in that lineage. I think the biggest surprise to me was when we played the first Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey, because I hadn't really played many hockey games before, and I think just like the fast-paced, like, arcade style, like, I really got invested in that. So it made it a lot easier to like continually play the same game over and over.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I would say, yeah, the soccer games have been the most engaging for me. So I don't mind. I've seen other N64 podcasts in the past, like, skip some sports games and stuff like that, and I'm not having it. Like, I feel like you gotta talk
I'm
about.
in the trenches, baby. I want to get shot at as much as possible.
I want to figure out, like, what was the real deal, like, what was going on, like, especially in this era when they were still figuring out how to make some of these games in 3D, and like how it was going to work.
For sure. And I think especially like when you think of the limits of the N64 too, right? Like, they're like, most sports games look and play better on PlayStation, I think. Like, from what I didn't have a PlayStation growing up, but you see videos and just some of the audio details and whatever. Like, it kind of feels like across the board they play better on PlayStation. Like, that's initially the only reason I ever bought a PlayStation, is because of the Wii, because sports games were so bad on Wii, because they tried to make all of them some version of, it's a basketball game. You have to take the Wiimote and like flick it like you're shooting a basketball, and you're playing golf and you got to swing the Wiimote like it's a golf club. Or I'm just like, I want to sit on my couch. I'm not trying to do exercise right now. So I literally bought a PlayStation to play like NHL and FIFA and games as Tiger Woods.
That's so funny.
And games like that, because it annoyed me. And so, I think when you go and look back at this, it is interesting, because like you say, I think across the board, developers are trying to figure out how to make the games 3D, and then it's like they're also kind of trying to figure out how to make them work on N64. And I think you're seeing the evolution, right? Like, just with FIFA games alone, as we've mentioned now for like the fourth time, but just like the gap in quality between FIFA Soccer 64 and this is like night and day. Like, they're not even, it feels like they couldn't even be related, but they're somehow made by the same people. So,
and to its credits, like there's some other, like, we haven't played like a basketball game yet. We've played 3 basketball games, but we haven't played one yet that I was like, oh, this feels like this would be like not definitive, but like a game like I could see fans like flocking to and like really getting into. But with this game, like I haven't played the PlayStation version, but I've compared footage and I was like, you know what, this game looks like and runs like just as good, if not better in some regards, just like performance wise. So I feel like these may be have the best shot at being like the like better, not the better, but like actually competitive sports games, where I feel like basketball and football games we've played don't seem like they live up to maybe their other console counterparts. So
right. It makes sense. And I think too, it goes back to like porting it, right? Like if you make the game a couple times and you get the sales figures back, and the PlayStation version is selling 5 times the number of copies that the N64 version is, then of course you're going to not care that much about the port, or and it's the same, like me and some buddies play NHL quite a bit. And NHL is easily like the redheaded stepchild of the EA Sports family. Like,
Sure.
Hockey's just not really like a globally popular sport. And of course, EA has the soccer license. They have the NFL license. And so they put so much, like, I think my buddy works on NHL for EA and has for a long time. And he's like, the team for NHL is like 8 people, and the team for FIFA is like 300 or whatever. It's not that big of a gap, but it's pretty close. Like, he's he's not a game developer. He works in like marketing for it.
Mhm.
And he's like the only guy.
Wow.
Like globally. He's just like, I do it all for NHL. Whereas like FIFA, it's like, we have 5 marketing guys at our head office, and then we have one in England and one in Spain and one in Portugal, and what, so it's I think a similar thing that happens here sometimes, where they go, the last time we put this out, we sold 500,000 copies on PlayStation and we sold 50,000 on N64. So whatever, we'll pay the shitty company that doesn't really know how to port games to port it to the N64, because who gives a fuck?
We definitely see that with a lot of games we cover, but I think this game's pretty respectable. I think overall, pretty good job with this one. So I don't know, is there anything else you wanted to say about it, John, before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much all of it. It was really fun to go back and play it, because like I said, I owned it back in the day and I had fond memories of it. And I think for the most part, those memories held up, which is always nice. And as I'm sure the both of you know, not always true with video games.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to have rose-colored glasses for certain games, and then you go back and play them and you're like, you can't play this game anymore. It's literally unplayable.
It's nice we don't have to
not have that feel.
We don't have to trounce on anyone's nostalgia this time around. So
totally.
A long time ago, someone said, "I'm better than you." Strikers kick off, formations collide, defenses demolished, new dances invented, screaming goals ignite frenzied stadiums. Players get faster, more skillful, more religious. A clash of tactics where champions get cups, get medals, get mobbed. One shot at the world's greatest prize, and in the back of the net it's rammed. "I'm better than you, and I can prove it." World Cup Soccer '98. If it's in the game, EA Sports. It's in the game.
Speaking of sports games, the next game we are covering is Major League Baseball, featuring Ken Griffey Jr. We've been having a lot of fun playing that one. And it'll be fun because it's kind of been like we've been waiting to compare that to All-Star Baseball 99, which we played a few months ago. Looking forward to that episode.
Yeah.
John, I think we've got in all your podcasts on this episode, but is there anything you want to plug?
Pretty much got them all in. Yeah, I've got a Jeopardy podcast called What is a Jeopardy Podcast, a new metal podcast with Brian Quinby from Guys, which is a monthly show and a lot of fun. That's called the POD Cast. I have Blocked Party, which at this point is just a Patreon-only podcast, but it's a lot of fun with my friend Stefan Heck from Online. You can get my book, Curling Rocks, if you're like Goo and you hate reading. The audiobook comes out, I think it's April 12th. So keep your eye out for that. But for really everything I do, you can follow me on Blue Sky. I'm at John Cullen on there, and on Instagram at Cullen the Comic. I also am going to have a comedy special coming out at some point this year. So just give me a follow and you'll see whenever all these things happen, and you can follow along when they do.
Hell yeah. Your dad gave me 3 books at Christmas. I got to read one of them at least by the time next time I see him. Or else I'll feel bad.
Sure.
Okay. Well, Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to Lee, our Triforce tier Patreon over at patreon.com/flashback64. You can find all of our stuff at flashback64.com. And you can also check out the other podcasts on our podcast network, Soundstone, which is at soundstone.network. And McKenna, great job.
Good job, Goop.
Talk to everybody later. Bye.
Bye.